Sorry, can you hear me now? For a lot of those folks who have not been able to come out to one of the weekday meetings, so we really appreciate everybody coming out. A couple of ground rules, what we'll do is if you want to speak, you'll come over here to Lisa, sign your name, and then you'll come to the microphone over here. Everyone has 3 minutes to speak, okay? Everyone's going to be given 3 minutes to speak. Please, there is no ceding time to somebody else. Your time is your time. We ask you all are respectful to one another, okay? It's not a question and answer time. This is truly your opportunity to speak and make public comment. So we just ask everybody to be respectful. This is one of those topics, obviously, that we have a great show out tonight, that's near and dear to a lot of folks' heart. So I just want to go ahead and start. It doesn't matter who starts, anyone who wants to start. Please go to Lisa, sign your name, come over and take to the podium, and we'll just do this in an orderly fashion. So again, thank you everybody for coming out today. We do appreciate your time.
I'm good. You? You were now.
I know,
Yes, ma'am. Thank you.
Morning, how are you doing? Thank you.
How are you doing? Yeah, it's good out there on that Makes it hard All right. Good to see you.
And if you would, just go ahead and state your name and come up here to speak. Just state your name, and then feel free to speak.
Hi, I'm glad you're holding this afternoon, and I'm very appreciative of you allowing this, everybody to speak. My name is Mark Hanson, and we are currently dealing with 3 different leases, 2 solar farms, 1 in Pike County and 2 in Knox County. And I personally believe that we have to do everything possible to extend the life of our fossil fuels. And that means that we have to work to properly have renewable energy sources. And so that we can benefit and become a very strong country. I think the next issue that we're going to run into in this county is data centers and also storage centers. They're telling me that all substations will have 20 acre substations storing the energy. So this is just the tip of the iceberg of a process, a long process that we will have to adjust to and hopefully lower the cost of energy that we can all prosper and remain very profitable in our businesses that we do all do, and lower our costs in our homes. Because the costs are starting to get pretty well out of control. That's all I have to say. Thank you.
One more thing I should have said. Julie over here is our timekeeper. At 30 seconds to go, she'll raise her hand and let you know you have 30 seconds. And then after 3 minutes, she'll let you know the 3 minutes are up as well. So thank you, Julie.
of talking and a lot of headaches to decide to do this. My 13-year-old brother was killed in an accident on the farm. He died before he ever got a chance to experience life. My two grandparents died of cancer on the farm before his mother and my stepfather fought and ultimately died of cancer on the farm as well. There are no guarantees of tomorrow. I'd like to leave this world having made a positive impact. It is also my right as a landowner to choose for myself and my family what is best for our legacy. My neighbors have not walked in my shoes and do not understand the struggles and sacrifices my family has made and are currently still making on our farm. What they choose to do with their land is their choice. It is not right to dictate what I do with mine. I want to thank the commissioners for taking the time to listen. Solar is going to provide the much needed funding to uphold our critical infrastructure and strengthen our schools and better equip our fire departments. By keeping the current solar ordinances proposed APS 300-foot setbacks, this will provide unrestricted funding for many additional community projects. This is a benefit for everyone, not just the landowners. Thank you.
Hello, my name is Kitty Myers. My husband is Rod, who just spoke. I'm a current landowner and have been working at the solar company for the last 5 years. One thing I learned is that tomorrow is never guaranteed, and we have to do the best with the choices that we make and the decisions that are in front of us. I believe every landowner has the right to choose what they want to do with their land, whether someone else agrees or they disagree. It is not right for someone to take that choice away. My neighbors have not walked my path in life. 16 years ago, I had my choice ripped away. I went in for a routine nasal surgery and I woke up blind. To this day, I'm still fighting this battle caused from 16 years ago. I did not choose for that to happen to me. I have lived on my husband's family farm through 32 years of marriage, and I've seen many changes during this time. Our farm had cattle for many years until finally changing to row cropping. Change can happen. Change is hard, more so on the people than it is on the land. I have heard the comment continuously that you will change our view. My view comes with a high yearly maintenance cost and a lot of manual labor. We do not live in an HOA. I do not tell my neighbors what they can and cannot do with their property. It is not morally right to change these ordinances and take the rights away from the rest of us. We are people who pay our taxes, we upkeep our land, and it's money out of our own pockets. Through this process, we've tried to be respectful and listen to the opinions of our neighbors. We have not always been met with that same respect. We see the comments out there. I want to say thank you for taking the time to listen. It is my sincerest hope that you will do what is right by keeping the current ordinance or using the proposed APC 300-foot setbacks. Thank you very much.
Hi, thank you guys for your time. My name is Jeff Decker. I'm not going to be near as articulated as they were. I've born and raised in Vincennes. I've lived in this community here about a mile and a half away from here for about 23 years now. I've watched all these farmers. They figured out spraying next to the neighbors in dicamba. They figured out oil. They figured out the coal problems. They figured out the hog barns and the turkey barns. I don't understand why they can't find a common ground here with us now. I am pro landowner. I am pro farm. I am pro renewable energy. And to let these feeling-based arguments to deter your guys' decision is just doesn't make sense to me. It's not how we've raised our kids to let other people dictate what we can do on our ground that we pay taxes for and earn. Thank you guys. Thank you for your time.
Good afternoon. My name is Ethan Denver, and I've been a resident of Knox County my entire life. I'm a grandchild of Knox County residents Barry and Janet Devine, who chose to lease their land to create a solar farm. I'm pro-farmer, pro-land rights, and pro-solar energy. I believe that solar energy is going to be vital to our power grid, and that the emergence of artificial intelligence data centers, along with our never-ending need for power, all forms of power creation should be welcome, especially those like solar that have no fuel costs and create stable, low-cost power. Solar energy is safe, clean, renewable energy source, and something I'm truly excited for. There will be much more in my future. Thanks, guys.
Hello again. Brian Myers, landowner here. I'm here in support of continued solar farm development in Knox County and a future Orion project on our property and our fellow landowners. We thank you for all the opportunities we've had to speak over multiple commission meetings, the APC meeting, and again today, this final meeting before you make a decision. We know change can be scary and progress can sometimes be messy. However, please understand we also know that neither change nor progress can happen without compromise. Compromise drives all things in civil society. Our laws will not exist without it. So with a spirit of compromise and our desire to see projects become reality, we wish to close ranks with our neighbors and compromise to move forward. Therefore, we want to provide our support to the commissioners today and let you know that we support the recommendations you sought and were provided by the Area Plan Commission. First, despite strong evidence that a 200-foot setback is both safe and reasonable, and that nothing has materially changed to legally invoke an ordinance adjustment, we are willing to concede that 300 feet is something we can live with to move the ball forward. We therefore support the APC recommendation to change the residential setback to 300 feet. Next, it must be clear that battery storage is an integral element that utilities are going to demand from solar farm operators. We are also sympathetic to concerns that batteries must be implemented with exceptional safeguards. We therefore support the APC recommendation to call out recently strengthened Indiana Code Section 2214.8 that regulates and defines standards for utility-scale battery storage, including siting, construction, operation, inspection, and emergency response, especially mandating emergency response plans and training for local fire departments, as guided by stringent national 855 standards. Finally, we've been very supportive of, and our existing contracts with Orion clearly define vegetative buffers only around residential properties. It's simply the right thing to do to our neighbors. We therefore strongly support the APC recommendation for suitable vegetative screening only around residences. In closing, we ask the commissioners to please make and approve motions in alignment with APC recommendations this Tuesday. We respectfully ask that you please get solar ordinance adjustments implemented with utmost urgency. Thank you.
Hello, my name is Melissa Steinel, current landowner here in Knox County, and here in support of family and friends who have acreage in this proposed solar project. My ask is that commissioners please be considerate of landowner rights. This project will not only bring construction jobs to the area, but will also bring money to aid in schools, fire departments, and many other organizations which aid in the betterment of Knox County overall. While many residents in Knox County are concerned with what happens after the 25 to 35 years the panels are in place, developers are required to set aside money for decommissioning, and the land can then be used again for crops or yet another form of diversification. We need to base this discussion on proven facts and data and not personal feeling. Decisions should be grounded in evidence and not emotion. Thank you for your time.
Yes, Ray McCormick, fourth generation farmer from here in Knox County. I'm not much of a follower of Facebook, but I was asked to read a few things that the opposition to solar energy's attorney had said. He had talked about that the number one thing that we talk about to commissioners is the tax revenue that have come into the county. And we know in the future how tough it's going to be to keep that tax revenue there when there's cutbacks from the state. But he says when there's a tax abatement, it sort of cancels that so that you're not getting as much money as what we're saying to you. Well, he doesn't understand and hasn't checked our leases. Orion Energy is a 30-year energy company. They've got the capital. They're not asking for a tax abatement. They won't be asking for a tax abatement. So by their attorney's own formula, there will be a tax windfall coming to the county. Also, what's not maybe been told to a lot of people in this community, that if you're directly adjacent to the Orion Energy Farms, which is the big one in our county, you, under their good neighbor policy, will get $2,500 a year for 35 years. So they talk about our homes won't be as much value. Who can offer a home for sale that gets $2,500 a year for 35 years? has $100 and some thousand of income coming in cash to the good neighbors. Now, their attorney also insulted all of us that have signed up by saying you really didn't know what you were signing up for. I played against Brent Stuckey on this ball floor. He is a fabulous real estate attorney. He's representing farmers from 5 counties, dozens of farmers and landowners signing up for solar. He says this is a good contract we're signing. It's unprecedented, the 2.75% increase per year in revenue to us landowners. He also talked about the money that's being held back. It was more than adequate for decommissioning these solar farms. So when he says we really didn't know what we were signing, I've been around renewable energy and solar for years and years and years. And I've negotiated really toughly with the line to get those standards so that it would be for all of our leases, we would all enjoy the benefits of a really good lease.
20 seconds, Frank.
So the most important thing I want to talk about is our temperatures are going up and up and up. Everyone in this community needs to do something about that. So having clean, renewable energy. So I appreciate the opportunity to speak here. I know the Area Planning Commission has voted 8-0. The commissioners have indicated that they're going to support. I support that we compromise with the 300-foot setback. I appreciate your opportunity for me to speak today. Thank you.
Good afternoon. Solar does not need to be ugly. My name is Fernando Lozano, and I'm an artist that lives in Vinces. I'm always searching for a new canvas to paint on. I love public art because it transforms spaces, connects communities, and turns every structure into a world of beautiful and colorful pieces. Too often communities push back against solar panels, fearing they will be always big, black, and ugly. But the industry is listening, and now we know we must bring alternatives to the panels. Solar technology changed and has now a unique imagination. Solar panels no longer need to be black, rectangular, sitting silently on the landscapes. With new technology like solar steam, color PV surfaces, parent panel designs, and anti-integrated solar farms, we can turn solar fields into flower beds, rooftops into murals, and public places into art that power the sun. As an artist, I'm always looking for new installation, and I see solar installations as an open invitation for the imagination. Bad surface, clean lines, with spread spaces waiting to be transformed into beautiful, beautiful landscapes. These structures no limits, their imagination is for ceiling. They can transfer the community into a beautiful place. Rather than resting solar because it doesn't look good, rather than listening that solar doesn't look good, let's imagine more powerful question. How can solar shape energy into something truly beautiful? Let's imagine together a solar farm that looks like a field of flowers, where every panel is petals and landscape goes with color and light. Thank you.
Good afternoon. My name is Nate McCormick. My family farms here in Knox County. I want to speak plainly today. The issues about whether farm families will be allowed a fair opportunity to diversify in hard economic times. Agriculture is not easy right now. Margins are tight, costs are high, markets are unpredictable. Many farms are looking for ways to stabilize income so that they can stay in business and keep land in the family. Solar provides that opportunity. It does not take away from agriculture. It strengthens farm balance sheets and gives families stability. And it's important to understand that this is not permanent. Solar projects are required to have decommissioning plans. When the project life is over, the panels are removed and the ground is put back into agricultural production. The land is not lost, it is preserved. We already have a solar ordinance. The current 200-foot setback is fair. It provides a separation and and protection. The Area Plan Commission recommended 300 feet. This is a reasonable compromise, one that recognizes neighbor concerns while still allowing projects to function. But anything beyond 300 feet crosses the line. Over 300 feet becomes a de facto ban. It may not be written as a prohibition, but practically speaking, it eliminates the ability to develop most parcels. That is not regulation, that is overreach. If we're going to regulate, let's regulate fairly. If we're going to compromise, let's compromise honestly. 200 feet is fair, 300 feet is a compromise all parties can live with. 500 or 1,000 feet is not a compromise, it is elimination. Solar is clean, solar is safe, solar is quiet. It brings long-term tax revenue to this county, and when it's finished, the land returns to farming. The decision should be about balance and not fear. I respectfully ask the council to hold the line at a reasonable setback and allow farm families the opportunity to diversify and remain strong. Thank you.
My name is Barry Logan. I work in the technology sector. I host a monthly AI roundtable in Vincennes at Pantheon, and been a resident of Vincennes, Indiana for over 20 years. So I want us to think about the scale of what we're talking about here. So we're talking about putting in solar power, and there's a new data center going into New Carlisle, Indiana, which consumes as much electricity as 10 Edwardsport facilities. 10. We're talking about a massive need for energy over the next 10 to 20 years. And so we have an opportunity to capitalize on it. We have an opportunity to make Knox County generator power rather than a consumer power. And I think we need to keep that in mind, because we're not talking about 5 years. We're talking about 10 years. We're talking about 20 years. We're talking about 30 years. You know, the capacity demands are going to be massive. And we have such a fantastic opportunity here because solar power right now is the cheapest electricity we have ever known in the human species. It is the cheapest source of power we have ever had. And for us to fail to capitalize on that is a massive missed opportunity. So Knox County has a choice to provide affordable electricity, to provide a role of leadership, because hundreds of counties are making decisions about exactly this issue right now. We have an opportunity to pave that road, to provide a leadership role for other counties. We have an opportunity to learn lessons from this. So I don't want us to miss out on that. And we have an opportunity to provide something for our kids, because a lot of places, especially in the Northeast, are seeing their electrical bills go up 10, 20 times because of all of the power draw that's coming from these data centers. So we can either choose to be part of that solution, part of that energy capacity that reduces people electrical's costs, or we can sit this one out. And sitting this one out is not going to be a great long-term option for Knox County. That's it. Thank you.
My name is Matt Ramsey. I live at 1420 Wheeler Street in Vincennes. I definitely can't cover this in 3 minutes. So I'll try to summarize it on the spot, because I helped Mr. McCormick make a social media campaign. You may have seen a video series, an educational video series. In doing that, I had to talk to dozens of people around Knox County, many of whom I felt haven't been represented in this discussion because they haven't wanted to come and subject themselves to the kinds of venom they see in the comment section of those videos. But those include people in the cities and towns who may not feel they have a personal stake in this, but they definitely feel that they're connected to all the economic opportunities in Knox County. These people have expressed supportive gestures like thumbs up, heart emojis, in the amounts of 86 to 97% on the content that we published. And in short, they haven't necessarily been here. They're stirring up a lot of animosity, but they're counting on you guys to be the adults in the room and make a decision that's smart and takes everyone's interest into account on their perspective. So thank you guys.
Hi, my name is Cheryl McCormick, and I live with Ray McCormick, and I've grown up on a farm in Knox County. I came without a prepared statement. There have been a lot of very good points made already. I don't want to repeat things that have already been said. I sort of thought I'd play it by ear and see what comes up. And so, as I was standing here reading this information that was handed out to everyone, troubles me a little bit that there's some information in this information pamphlet that's not updated or not accurate, because it refers to Knox County solar panels to be set back only 200 feet. So this does not take into consideration the compensation that has already been offered by the Area Planning Commission and written up in legal language to increase that setback to 300 feet. This says something about there's not adequate screening. I've been following these meetings on the commissioners, the Area Planning Commission, back to the commissioners, and I want to thank you all for all the time that you have put into trying to make this work. I know that there are, in the original and in the updated ordinance, already mentions of required buffers, vegetative screening. And when you combine that with the length of a football field, put between that football field and yourself native trees and bushes, I really can't imagine anyone objecting to that appearance. Down here under private well and groundwater protection, I'm not sure there's any evidence at all that there's runoff, toxic effects of any kind to the ground, to the water from solar panels. Now, let's not forget all the chemicals that farmers put on those crops every year, and all the water that carries all of those toxic chemicals. There are very public lawsuits going on right now about the health effects of farm chemicals. So, don't say one thing's good, one thing's bad, and there are two sides to that. Fire safety, battery storage, energy storage systems. I was under the impression from your meetings that there are state laws that are strict, provide protections already.
30 seconds.
And I think it was the opinion of the county that we couldn't do any better job than what the state already has of protecting us from such dangers. Decommissioning and taxpayer protection, again, that really doesn't apply, at least to the agreement that Ray and I have signed, because Orion Energy is putting bonds in place to the amount that will cover the cost of removing structures. So I thank you very much.
That's all. I'll give you loud, guys, come in line. My name is Sandra Stewart. I'm a landowner down southeast of Menor here. I did have an Orion contract. It was canceled. That's all fine and well. They told us that up front. So the minute contracts out here, people, you gotta realize there's a clause in there and they can cancel that contract in a heartbeat. Second thing, I grew up, and many of you know, many of you don't, I had one of the largest tire piles in the back of my home. Now let me tell you, I've dealt with IBM, they've got the strictest rules compared to the federal government. So now, no matter what, all this solar, coal, oil, they are on top of it, people. They're going to make sure that all these ordinances are tight. Because they'll come out your back door for it. Believe me, I've been there. The moving it 300 feet, I think is good. That's a compromise between both sides. And you got to realize, if you start tearing up what people can do with their land, it's going to change the whole ballywhack of what land is about. So you need to think about where you're going. Because if you make one change and they say we can't do this, what are you going to do if they come in with a tire factory next door? Think about it, folks. Anything can happen. Thank you very much.
I'm Josh Robinson,
graduated '94 South Knox. Grew up farming, 20-some years in the local 841 union. I've done everything from mine coal, lay pipe, and now I'm a superintendent of those substations. A lot of them for these solar farms. I don't see anything they're doing that's any worse than what I've done in the past to make money. I think the landowner should be okay to do these land what he wants. I think 300-foot setback's fine. The ones I've worked around and seen, they planted trees. Looks good to me. I wouldn't mind living in the middle of one. That's all I got to say.
I'm Dave Dean. I'm a lifelong resident of Knox County and a property owner in both Johnson and Harrison Townships. And I'm in favor of solar developing in the county. And I think the 300-foot setback is asking a little much of the industry to invest in this county at that level. For example, a 40-acre tract of real estate at 300-foot setback, you would be talking about taking 9+ acres out of any kind of solar production. And I don't know at what point the industry is going to look at it and say that the return on investment is just not there at that level. And with modern power production and the cost that a lot of people are paying on their electrical bills, it seems like renewable resources are a much better option, particularly from a cost standpoint and also from an environmental standpoint.
My name is Mitch Meek. After my time in the Marine Corps in 2018, I've lived in Knox County. I was an amphibious assault vehicle mechanic who was also sent to get certified in hazmat operations for the region I was in overseas. I went through a long course that certified me for the U.S. and Japanese government to conduct proper procedures for facility operations. The course was the Overseas Hazardous Waste Facilities Operations course under the Naval School Civil Engineer Corps Officer Environmental Training Division, Department of the Navy Environmental Program. I understand the different installations I understand the impacts that different installations have on the environment through proper operations and through accidents or disasters. My family and I plan on staying in Knox County, so I ask the questions I would like to see answered. First, will the installation make public knowledge through an SDS or safety data sheet publicly explaining the hazmat of battery storage facilities, especially if it burns? Next, can our local politicians keep our tax money out of the decommission? A quick online search of the DNR reveals the state and federal funds. Your tax money is going to abandoned oil and gas wells in the state of Indiana. I work for a company that plugs these wells. Companies that no longer exist are footing a $55 million bill for some almost 4,000 wells in the state for plug jobs to kill these wells. Do I need to discuss the impact abandoned wells have financially or environmentally? I also bet and fear that we'll also foot that bill when all involved will disappear, just like the abandoned oil well issue we had. Local government needs to be very transparent in all this, in my opinion. Third, has our local government done the research to tell us the risks for environmental, financial, and health? When I went to the area plan meeting on February 3rd, please go watch that video. I noticed that the majority seem to not have done research on the matter and they blatantly admitted that. I fear for any accidents, financially or environmentally, that this will have on our county due to lack of competence and research. Fourth, will this have an impact on people's property values if they want to move away from solar field? I can keep going. All I can say is that it's funny how the plans seem to go on during the COVID limitations, where the public is not involved. Correct me if I'm wrong, please. I could be wrong, but I've worked for the government before.
30 seconds.
And I've seen how politicians can operate. I hope everyone knows how bad this can turn out for landowners and politicians, especially when elections roll around, when and if these companies swindle our county. I'm interested in the health and safety of my community. Thank you.
Good afternoon. I'm Robert Meredith, here on behalf of the Knox County Coalition for Safe solar and over 600 Knox County residents. Farmers, teachers, retirees, and working families who are not totally opposed to solar development as long as it's done right. We're asking for something far simpler, that Knox County get this right before it's too late to fix it. When you took this office, you swore an oath to serve public interest, to act without conflict, to uphold Indiana law, and to protect Knox County taxpayers. We're not here to question your intentions. We're here because the protections this community deserves are not yet provided. And what isn't written down can't be enforced. Knox County has roughly 288,000 acres of active farm ground, more than 55% of every acre in this county. We rank first in Indiana for crop sales. As U.S. Secretary of Agriculture Brooke Rollins stated, our prime farm ground should not be wasted and replaced with solar panels. It's a non-renewable resource, and once converted, it's gone for over a generation. Numerous counties have already recognized this and adopted stronger protections than we have, and Knox County deserves better. A 2025 peer-reviewed study of 8.3 million home sales found that properties within a half mile of a solar facility lost an average of 7.2% of their value. No developer around here has offered Knox County's non-participating neighbors a property value guarantee. Not one. These are families who never signed a lease, who never agreed to take on the risk, and who have no seat at the table when these decisions are made. A 750-foot setback is not a radical ask. This is the distance that research shows to begin to reduce that impact. Also, Indiana law prohibits blast mining within 1,000 feet of a home because of sustained ground vibration, which damages wells and well casings and aquifers. Solar installation drives steel posts into the ground using heavy hydraulic impact hammers, thousands of times over months of construction. At our current distance of 200 feet, that's 1/5 the distance Indiana already tells us is unsafe for a single blast. A cracked well casing is a direct pathway for contaminants into your drinking water. Much of rural Knox County has no access to city water. Our ordinance requires zero pre-construction baseline water testing, meaning if your well is damaged, you have no documentation and no legal recourse. We've already seen a lesson in our own county about why these protections need to be enforceable. Blue Jean Solar, formerly Ranch 2, was approved in 2020. It promised 150 megawatts, 188 jobs, and operational by 2023. 5 years later, not a single panel is in the ground. Good intentions are not enforceable. Written standards are. Decommissioning bonds, ownership, accountability, construction timelines, first responder training, baseline water testing do not exist to burden the responsible developer. They exist so that Knox County is never left holding the cleanup costs when the project fails. And with Wheatland now believed to have changed hands for the third time, that question is not hypothetical. We're asking this commission to support a moratorium on new solar applications until these protections are in place. Dearborn County just did it. A moratorium is not opposition to solar. Thank you.
My name is Dr. Watson. I moved here over 40 years ago, and I've been embraced by this community. I thank you all for it. I could not have found a better place to have a career, raise a family, and I'm thankful to all of you for it. Right now, I see you guys divided, and it hurts me. It hurts me. Why are you divided? Is anyone going to die over this? You know? So let me tell you, if someone's going to die over it, the lawyers will come up. They're worried about protection. Protection already exists. And lawyers will take that opportunity to make economic gains. Okay? And then I see you divided over distance. How far? How far is enough? Well, as we all know in our physics, distance is relative. So it's more relative what you do with the distance than how far it is. So I encourage you guys to work together and make this an opportunity for everyone. Thank you.
How you doing? I'm Keith Dodes. I live on Middle Park Street Road here in Harrison Township, and I came here with no intention whatsoever of speaking. But I do feel led to say a couple of things. One is that I own a 5-acre donut hole. Bogue Farms owns the donut all around me. I feel compelled to thank publicly Jim and Charlie both for not leasing their land. They put principle and preservation ahead of profits. And I appreciate that, and I want to thank them for that. I wish that more of my neighbors would have done the same, put principle and preservation ahead of profits. The other thing that I want to mention or want to say is when this issue came about many months ago, I'll admit my level of knowledge and education was barely kindergarten level. But over the last several months, I have learned a few things. I'm certainly not ready to graduate high school when it comes to that level of knowledge, but I know a whole lot more today than I did this time last year. And one of the things that I have learned is that there is a reason why the vast majority of counties in Indiana have much greater protections for their citizens than Knox County does. And the reason is the current protections for Knox County citizens are woefully inadequate. 200 feet setback is an embarrassment. And the 300 feet setback that is being recommended by the Area Plan Commission is almost embarrassing. What the Area Plan Commission has done is they've punted the football. They just kicked the can down the road. So I don't think it's unreasonable. I think most people who are here are not saying no to solar. They're saying yes to protection, in protecting our Knox County citizens, our Knox County property owners, and our Knox County children. So I am here to ask you, I'm here to implore you to develop and please approve much greater levels of protection for Knox County citizens, and that would start with at least 750 feet of separation. Appreciate it. Thank you very much.
Project is starting out. So I just have some concerns that I just want to kind of voice. Number one, I know I've sent you guys some emails before with videos. I'm very concerned about my road. I have one of the least cared for gravel roads in the county. I believe back in 2020, whenever this was supposed to go through, I was told that I would probably have one of the best roads in the county. Here we are 6 years later, nothing has been done. I'm concerned about the dust, the particulate matter, with all the construction going in and out. They're going to be using Saints Chapel Road, Pond Creek Road, Strip Pit Road. So I'm concerned about that. The road getting torn up, it is a bus route. I'm also concerned about the water in my area, with it being an old strip mine. I don't know if any of you know, but the water down there is atrocious. And so I'm concerned about that getting worse whenever they start to drive these pillars in the ground for these panels. So I guess my question is, what kind of protections, locally is our government going to make in order to ensure that my water isn't affected by this, to make sure that my road is properly taken care of, which I've asked for so many years, and then just being safe. Just be smart, be safe. I'm not against solar. I don't think any of us are really against solar. I'm not against renewable energy. I'm not against landowners making their own decisions. I just want it to be smart. I just want it to be smart. That's all.
Commissioners, my name is Eddie Fudling. I'm an attorney from Terre Haute, and I'm here, as you are aware, with Knox County Coalition for Safe Solar. I like where this conversation is going. It's starting to turn not a for or against, but addressing what the problem is. And the problem is the way that your current ordinance is written. As hopefully you are aware and received a copy, we drafted a an early draft of a revamp of your current ordinance, which addresses a lot of the problems that aren't addressed in your current ordinance. So as I was sitting here listening to the comments, I went through again your existing ordinance and just pointed out some of the areas where your current ordinance is lacking. First and foremost, this doesn't call for any type of an actual rezoning. So any future solar company that wants to come in will never have to stop in front of you. And you should be the gatekeepers of any new solar development within the county, not just the Area Planning Commission. There's no baseline for EDAs of what the county should be expecting to see back. It vests power the Planning Commission to approve plans without standards or guidelines. There's no requirement to set forth the number of buildings associated with the solar project, including battery storage. There's no minimum standards for fencing and screening. There's no requirements for environmental studies, soil studies, or wellhead locations. There's no insurance requirements. There's no road use agreement requirements or standards. And I haven't even gotten to the decommissioning part, which is the scariest thing about solar. What happens if? That's my job as a lawyer. What happens when something happens? We have to assume the worst. What happens when the solar company does not start decommissioning the project when they're supposed to? What happens? What happens when the solar company doesn't update the decommissioning plan every 5 years? What happens? What happens when the project is at its life's end and the solar company is bankrupt? What happens when they don't pay their bonds? What happens if there aren't any bonding companies out there anymore that will write a bond because they know how expensive the decommission is? So what I would ask of all of you, again, this is not a for or against. This is about setting forth the protections and setting up the standards. You already have solar operations here, which is scary because we don't have these in place already. I would ask that you follow through with what was discussed in your last commission meeting and very seriously consider a moratorium while you work towards getting more stringent and adequate standards set forth in your zoning ordinance. Thank you.
My name is Bill Veek, landowner farmer. Dealt with Hoosier Energy supplies electricity to wind energy RMCs. And the man, very highly mandated, said there's only two forms of energy, electricity, reliable and non-reliable. He said you can live without the non-reliable, and the reliable always has to back up the non-reliable. Now, that issue is kind of out of your range right here. It's what pertains to right here, then would be more in the county. But what happens with these solar farms, down in Texas, Frito-Lay's, or potato grower, Frito-Lay buys a lot of them. They're in Texas, headquartered out of Texas. There's been a lot of solar farms in Texas gone through hailstorms, lightning damage, and Frito-Lay has growers sign off that says you can never grow potatoes on that ground for human consumption if you have a solar farm out there. It's the glass shards, but where's you get the heavy metals. So you're going to take this solar farm later on and clean it up and not worry about the heavy metals that are only grow crops. And as far as contamination with the heavy metals, I live right there across railroad tracks from Essex Water. Now, 20 years ago, we got a call there that said, hey, we got contamination in the wells. Now that's a wake-up call. You get that, and your neighbor's got contamination. And so the city had to run water out to them. They were testing all the wells. You're sitting there thinking, don't get a drink of water. Well, what have I got right now? They got it all rectified and found out what it was. But what I'm getting at, if you have these issues here, because these solar farms, you get lightning storms, Texas hailstorms, you can tear them out. So that's not the call you want to get in big commission. You don't want to get a call like that saying, hey, we got problems out here. And there's a lot of heavy metals in there. The other thing, whenever this first ordinance was being drawn up, I worked a lot with David Cole and the council. I went to several council meetings in. We emailed stuff back and forth. And there's a lot of things to farm publications, and people have lived through these things. And what they said was that you got to have the decommissioning. Some call it sunset clause, decommissioning, different things. But they all say it's got to be bonded up front. I believe the ordinance might say they got 2 years to come up with it now, because they all say, I'll guarantee you that the company that owns this solar farm in 30 years is not gonna be worth the paper it's written on. And that's what they ran up against. Same way on wind farms. They put the big turbines in them.
30 seconds.
Thank you. Now what they got with them, and this is kind of gonna tag on for your, wind thing later on you're gonna have. There's a place where they take them down, they come in, they blast them, those things fall down, those big blades of fiberglass, they go everywhere out in the field, and there's places in Nebraska, they can't pasture cattle out there anymore, because all that fiberglass is out there, will be out there forever. I just hope you bless everybody, and thank you for your time.
Joe Holscher, landowner and homeowner, mainly here for homeowners today. I didn't sign up before because I was hoping more homeowners would have got up and spoke, but I know there's 45 of them that are within 200 feet of this project, and I own it. And there's 57 that's within 500 feet. So I was hoping they would get up and at least say, I'm in that group. But I was kind of listening to some of the people talking. I had a thing I was going to say, but it's like, I'm just going to go with some of that stuff. We talked about the 300 feet as a compromise. Well, that's not even for sure. You act like that's for sure. The area planning recommended last time 300 feet. And from what I hear, coal mine owner, or the solar wanted 100, and it ended up getting 200. So this is not guaranteed, it's 300. So we're asking for more, because we don't know what we're gonna get. I mean, I'd love to have 500, I'd love to have 700, but we'll take what we can get. But that's one of the things, it's not for sure 300 right now. The good neighbor thing, I don't know what the good neighbor thing is. All I get from it is, once you sign it, you can't say anything. So we never did any of that. I've had landowners tell me that their leases are good. They know, they've been looked at. They're not stupid. They know what they're doing. We don't know what you're doing. We've never seen a lease after you sign it. So that's another thing. It's like, it's so great. Tell us what it is. We don't care how much you're getting. Tell us what they're going to do for you, what they're going to do for us, the homeowners. And I always get nervous, I always get emotional when I'm up here. People say it's not emotional, but it is. Because we are going to live with it. I've been living in the same house for 46 years. And it is going to be different. And I know you say things change, and they do. But I can still complain. You're complaining to me for asking you to change. Or I can't even stand, my legs are shaking. But I just want to tell you, I wish we could get more distance from our house. Thank you.
Because I am one of those homeowners that is less than 200 feet from where it's projected to go. I'm lucky where we surround most of the land around us, but I know there's other people who are not. And all I'm asking you is to think about what's to come and the what ifs, because there are a lot of unknowns. And when I think of that, I think of my kids in this community. You know, this is ground that's going to be handed down, and they're going to be the ones stuck with it. This is my generation that is stuck with the what ifs. I think if you look out and you see people who have committed to it, they're not going to be around for what's to come. So that's all that I ask you to do, is to think about the generations that are below us, my kids, our children, because that's who's affected the most. So we need to do it right this time to help protect them even more. Thank you.
She's also my neighbor. We will be looking at panels 200 feet away from our house. My children will look at it This land is supposed to be passed down to my children. This land is not for what you guys have proposed at 200 feet. We're just asking you to be safe. I'm a kindergarten teacher. I have to advocate for those kids. I'm advocating for my family. We farm. This is our livelihood. Please think about that. Make it safe. I said I wasn't going to say anything when I came here, but if you know me, so I just ask you to be safe and listen to us. Consider it.
Okay, if there's no one else to speak, we're going to go ahead and wrap this up. Again, I really appreciate everybody coming out today. Those that For those that don't know me that well, I've had the advantage of growing up in my own city, and I also had the privilege of growing up out in the county. So I know the struggles of both aspects of the city life and country life. We didn't have, years ago, we had problems with well out in the country, and we didn't have a kind of water safety department out there to help that with the colon cracker well. Cities, you didn't have to worry about that. You had somebody watching over your water, but that is a major concern of mine is the safety of drinking water and what it will do to homes when that is jeopardized. And all decisions I make will be based off the safety of the residents and their home values.
Thank you.
That's all I have to say. Okay, again, everybody, I really appreciate you coming out today and voicing your opinions one way or another. So, again, thank you and be safe going home today. Thank you.